Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
JR is trying to contain Jim Ross. Do you see any of the aggro crag? Was any of that left over?
No, unfortunately not.
No?
We're taking some of that home.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. Mongo.
Mondo.
Mondo Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Just to further the cheap pop, Mick Foley still owes Tim $10.
Just the definition of blue balls and gaga. It's like
That should be a t-shirt. Blue balls and gaga.
It's still real to me, damn it.
He kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Zelena Vega on a pole match.
And I mean, Big E's got Whale performing in his entrance, so I feel like
Wale.
Wale. I don't listen to. Okay, well, I don't listen to him, so I apologize to Wale.
This is in the mail, my good sir.
No, it wasn't.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely.
And then you can listen to us too.
Strap on and balls, only on Wrestling Past and Present.
This is Gangrel, the Vampire Ward, and you're listening to Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Monko.
And here we are, down a man once again. Apparently, Mongo, from what I gather, Tim just doesn't want to work more than 5 days a week, it looks like. No, all joking aside, he had something come up. He texted us the other day and said that, he had something unforeseen come up and that he wanted to know if we could cover for him. And, like always, when one of us has something come up, we do our best to cover for the other one, but our show definitely lacks a little bit, and Mongo actually has like numbers to prove that when it's only two of us, no matter what combo of two it is, it's just the show doesn't do as well. So it's kind of ironic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess how we shit on too many tag team matches. If it's too many tag team matches, people tune out. But when it's when it's that triple threat, it's all good, baby. So yeah, we appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully, again, we can be Three Musketeers once again, next week, and then going forward with TNA and the rest of the month. As you know, I don't sound as crappy now. I got my equipment back, so apologize for last week when it sounded like I was on the crapper. I was just literally in the room I'm in now with a lawn chair and a phone. So thankfully we sound a lot better, and I'm excited to do this because this was a great show. And also, before we go too far, speaking of friends, if you guys watched Dynamite this week, we're going to play a little clip to see if you at least know the sound.
You might want to change your address. Wardlow looking like a man possessed. He is a mountain of a man.
So there was a guy behind Wardlow. Did he look familiar to you, Roland? Besides the fact that he looked like Sami Zayn, did he look familiar to you?
Well, it's funny too, because when we had our live pod, Tim even said that. He's like, "Is that Sami Zayn?" I actually was the first person, I think, that actually published pictures of it. When I saw it, I was like, "Oh, no shit." Yeah, he looked very familiar. Looks like somebody we know.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be Mark Money, who we went to high school with. Obviously not his real name. He went to the same school as Roland and I. He grew up a wrestling fan like us. I used to go over his house all the time. We'd play N64 Warzone. We played up to SmackDown. We played GoldenEye. He was just a childhood friend of Roland and I. Went to school. Always been into wrestling. Is trained to be a wrestler, or was. I'm not sure if he still is. And I just thought it was cool because Roland posted pictures on his page like, "Dude, is this you?" And it was funny. So I'm like, "Hey, he got on TV," because I guess he went to go get beers, and that's the ramp he came down to go to his seat. And he saw the camera and said, "Fuck it." Basically raised his spears. His quote is, "I went to get beer and I walked back into chaos." So that was not Sami Zayn. That was a good friend who looks like him. And we've actually trolled people with him before. So I went to Mania 33. This is what we did at the bar. You hear the guy, "Free Sami Zayn." So we've been trolling that fact from Mark for years, because he does look like Sami Zayn's long lost brother. It's funny. He's just an Irish man with red hair from the Boston area, basically. So not your cousin from Boston, but it's our buddy Mark Money with a beer.
2 beers. What?
2 beers.
Three beers. What? But yeah, no, I just happened. I watched it the next day, or maybe it was later. Yeah, no, it was the next day, and I was like, I saw it right away. I'm like, like I had to rewind it. I was like,
Right.
But it's pretty cool that happened the way that it did. And on a side note, if anybody suffers from allergies, I'm with you. A little nasally tonight. I'm going to do my best not to snivel and snort and cough all over the podcast. I'm going to try to be quick with the mute button and then remember to unmute it so that way I don't get stuck on mute. So that way Mongo can roast me. But yeah, if anybody enjoys allergy season the way I do, it's starting early this year for me for some reason. So
it's all about the pollen.
Oh, dude. It's funny
too.
It's
yellow today.
Well, I said that yesterday to somebody. I'm like, well, it sounds like the leaves are starting to sprout based on the fact the way that like my throat, it feels like my cat's in there friggin' licking it with its tongue. It's that like weird, like itchy, like feeling. And yeah, definitely sniffly, nasally. It's funny too, because growing up, I never had allergies. And like, I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, I went to the doctors. I'm like, I think I have a sinus infection. They're like, no, you, sir, have allergies. I'm like, oh, well, shit.
And this segment is not sponsored by Allegro.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to give a quick overview of why I sound a little bit different. It is 100% me. I'm just a little extra nasally this week. So
that's right. I'm extra all the time.
Hey, at least I'm not nasally and you're not in your little aquarium fishbowl setup like you were last week. So
no, this
that
podcast
helps.
has definitely evolved and definitely, changed our sound quality. I mean, if you listen to the first episodes where we've talked about nauseum, where, even as a fan, I was like, Tim's an audio guy, they'll figure it out. Like, I don't want to be rude, like, guys, it sounds like you're like in a porta potty recording. Like it sounds so, but then again, they found the good microphone that, and they were able to fix that. And then when COVID happened, figuring out Skype and other technology.
Yeah.
And then even, my first few episodes, I couldn't figure out the settings on my microphone. So I sound 100 feet away. It's to work, like Will Smith says, he's a work in progress. Well, this show's a work in progress. But we're not going to slap you with bad audio. We're going to try to rock it the best we can.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like Tim thought he had this fantastic mic that like it had like an arm on it and like you could adjust it wherever it went. That thing was the biggest piece of shit. I've never seen it. Like the sound quality was so bad on that thing. It was cool to have it because like we could sit and you could put it like right here, like between us. Like it worked out well, except the quality of sound was brutal. So yeah, we definitely we got that other mic and then it's all been uphill. It's all been uphill from there. Thankfully not downhill. We've had some hurdles along the way, but
I was going to say, speaking of downhills, do you want to talk about our ups and downs of I saw Sarah's shtick, but I figure we can go over WrestleMania. We won't go in depth, I guess, because without Tim, we don't go in depth on the matches. We can at least kind of talk about our thoughts at least.
Well, and that's what like you said too, that like it seems like every time we have a recap show kind of our predictions, maybe Tim's embarrassed that he did bad. He does.
Well, I didn't say the exact word. I mean, you never know. Hey, I sucked on this one.
No, I think a lot of us did pretty poorly, to be honest. It was not. I don't know. I will say it was better than I thought it was going to be, but it still was not very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure where all these people are saying best WrestleMania in 10 years and best WrestleMania of all time. I mean, I get it. I think it's just recency bias. I mean, I'm not going to say it's in the bottom tier of WrestleManias, but I'm not going to say it's in the top tier. I feel like it's one of those solid B manias. It's like a good, like I think you said 6.5, and I would say it was a solid 6.5 for me too, because night one was entertaining and night two just kind of pissed you off towards, so it's like, again, that's why I think these multi-nights suck. Like last year, same thing. Night one was awesome. Night two was sucky. Before that, it was like night one was sucky, but night two was bad. Like it's just, it never has like two consistent good nights. And I think that's hard because you have so many agents and producers that maybe they're not working both nights or just how they order the matches. It's even more clustery now. But it's like night one, I felt like should have been night two, and night two should have been night one because Stone Cold ending was such a better ending than night two. Just either Roman got hurt or they just called it early and just awkwardly winning. Like what the heck? So like two different endings, two different feels. I'd be pissed if I was leaving Sunday after a great Saturday. I'd be like, wow, I just got like a WrestleMania and a WrestleMania Backlash. Dude,
not
it's 9 in the morning. Okay,
it's not a beer. It is Today's
It's an energy drink.
today's podcast unofficial sponsor is Nos because it was
Not your sponsor.
because it was 2 for $4 at our convenience store. Anyhow, so hey, that's what I do. Like I'm like, hey, 2 for $4. Yep, that's my jam today. But yeah, so I mean, we'll go over it a little bit. The Usos defeated Nakamura. Boogs got hurt in that match. We all pretty much figured that was going to happen. I mean, not the Boogs going to get hurt, but we figured the Usos would retain.
Yeah, poor Boogs too. Not only did he like split his patella or tear his patella, but he Kevin Nashed himself too. Like his quad gave out because of that. It's like his whole leg got jacked. And I feel because I'm not a fan of his wrestling ability, but as a character, Boogs is great. Like they found their Elias Ezekiel bullshit. They found their guitar man after poor Elias destroyed himself and now looks like a terrible C movie villain.
He looks like Tommy Pickles' dad. He looks like Stu Pickles.
Yeah, he shared that meme too. I saw it was hilarious. It's a shame that Nakamura is kind of fallen from graces again. It's a shame that I think I told you off air in the text that how great it would be if it was Nakamura, Ricochet, and Cesaro. Not Cesaro. Who's the current?
Finn.
Finn, thank you. I was like, crap, who's the Intercontinental? I blanked for a second. Having them like in a triple threat match, even if those 2 titles weren't on the line, it should have been. Which again, what a damn travesty that the Intercontinental title was not on the line at WrestleMania, and the U.S. title was not on the line at WrestleMania. But we had like more celebrity matches. Like that. That's I think kind of what killed it for me. They weren't terrible celebrity matches, but spots were taken away from people who deserved it. And I know it's WrestleMania, and I know you can come at us on Twitter at T-Kurt on air, give all your hate to him. Just kidding. But no, you can come at us all you want. Celebrity matches is fine. Have like one celebrity match, but we don't need multiple celebrity matches now. I get there's 2 nights, and I feel like Hollywood next year is going to be more because it's Hollywood, so like they're going to pander to them. But it's just like, yes, the Johnny Knoxville match was entertaining. Yes, I hate Logan Paul. He's a complete piece of shit in my opinion. But his match was good. He put in the work. So I can't disrespect what he did in the ring. Same with Bad Bunny last year. It just, why? Like, why do we need so many? Why can't we just have the one? Like, when they did even Big Show versus Mayweather, things like that. Who cares if it's a little smart appearance? I don't care. But don't take away actual matches and actual time from wrestlers, especially when they're your champions, because 1, you're devaluing the belts. And 2, you're basically telling Finn and Ricochet, yeah, you don't matter to be on a pay-per-view. Sorry that we gave you the title so people thought you trust us, but no, we just want to devalue the title because we're just going to consolidate it because as they tease on SmackDown, they're going to consolidate the tag titles. So they're probably going to consolidate the mid-card again, which, I get it because they trimmed the roster down. But then you're basically already devaluing it. So what's that belt going to matter? Who cares? Like it's not like it's Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold to unify the mid-card titles. No, it'll be Finn versus Ricochet in a meaningless match to see who's going to carry the multicolored belt that looks like Nickelodeon from NXT into another freaking catering. Like it's just the booking decisions is what also pissed me off. And yes, was the show itself entertaining? Yes, but are they going to WB themselves for the next 8 months? Yes.
Right. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Moving along to quote Tim, Drew McIntyre. Sorry. That's fine. I don't mind having hey, you and I are usually the kings of going off that way, so like I don't mind it. Tim's the one that's like, oh, we got to get back on track, guys. But he's not here today, so guess what? There is no track. Anyhow, moving on to the next match, Drew McIntyre defeats Happy Corbin. Who gives a shit? Next, The Miz and Logan Paul defeated Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. I was a little surprised that The Miz and Logan Paul went over. I guess having The Miz turn on him makes sense because since they went over. But you also could have had Logan Paul eat the pin and then have The Miz turn on him too. I felt with all the hype around 2K22 and stuff, and Ray being the spotlight wrestler and and being on the cover and all that stuff, I thought for sure they were going to win that match. And like you said, credit Logan Paul. He did put the work in. He looked good. He didn't look like a fish out of water. Some of that is he's an athletic guy to begin with, so that helps. He's not Johnny Knoxville, even though Knoxville actually did relatively well for what they did. But yeah, again, one of those matches that I was just kind of surprised the way that they went the way that they did.
Yeah, I'm sad that they booked the Mysterios to lose because the double jump out of the entrance ramp was awesome. Like that was such a cool timed entrance to see them both do it together. They had the Mexican and American flag. Dominic with shades of his father, Eddie Guerrero, his gear.
His real poppy.
But it was just cool. Like, I know even as a fan that like that's a cool moment. Like Ray get to have a WrestleMania moment with his son. They get to have that epic entrance. Like, that's awesome. I'm so happy for them. But you could have let Ray or Dominic get the pin even over the Miz, have the Miz be pissed off, then turn on Paul, then that storyline still would have made sense. So booking wise, since you had him turn, you still could have did it. I don't understand what it accomplished, essentially you're trying to build Dominic up, but burying him at Mania, and then just have him come out and get attacked by Veer Man the next night on Raw. So Dominic now went from looking like he could be something to, well, he's going the route of Bo Dallas. Like, it's sad, and I know he's green as shit. I know he needs to work on things. I'm not saying make him Intercontinental Champion, which at this point you don't care about the title, but I'm just saying at least give him something. Give him that first win so he somewhat looks like a threat when he eventually does get to that, next mid-tier instead of lower tier. So instead of being an S.A. Rios, maybe he can be a Tommaso Ciampa. I don't understand their logic. Why are you investing in the first place? So it was just sad, but the match itself was fine. They all did relatively good work, like you said. I thought that, honestly, Logan Paul kind of outshined the Miz at some point, so I thought that was kind of interesting, but Miz has a different style. But like you said, he put in the work. Again, not a fan of him. You can Google him if you want to know why, make your own opinion, but just not a fan.
Well, and think about if that's the only WrestleMania that Ray and Dominic have together. It's like, Ray's getting up there. All it's going to take is one more severe injury, and Ray's probably done. So,
thankfully, he's been on a good streak. Knock on wood. So, I mean,
but yeah, no,
next match. Sorry.
No, I just, it was kind of disappointing that they went that route. I guess the best way to put it.
I was gonna say, I think at least the next match was better. Sorry, I wasn't trying to cut you off.
No, you're good. You saw that I was muting to cough anyways. You were trying to cover for me. So, actually, I think the next two matches were the best matches on the card. You have Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. You knew that match was probably going to be a good match. And it was, for the most part, a little sloppy at times. It kind of showed us that, like Mongo was saying a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last week, that Becky Lynch isn't necessarily the best wrestler. And this kind of showed it. It showed that Belair was definitely ahead of her in wrestling ability. And not that Becky's bad. I'm just saying that there were some spots that, they were pretty much Becky's fault. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily blame anybody, but you can kind of watch the match back and see who's kind of a little bit off or whatever. And most times it was Becky, unfortunately. But it was good to see Bianca. I mean, the way that they were doing the storytelling, you kind of figured she was going to go over, and she does. Happy story for her to get the title back. Hopefully they don't decide to have Bayley come back and squash her like they did with Becky at SummerSlam.
Watch her be at SummerSlam. No, watch her be at SummerSlam too. Hey, different brand, pal.
Right.
Oh boy.
And then I don't know. You have anything to add for that match, or you?
Yeah. No, I was agreeing. I was saying I think they definitely stole the show. They were the best. They were the best women's match of the pay-per-view, bar none. No offense to the other performers, but like, I know we'll get to the other ones later, but they were the best. Like you said, Becky had some moments there where she looked a little rusty in some spots, but Bianca does a great job selling and carrying her. I just, like you said, I'm just sick of seeing them wrestle. So hopefully they let Bianca kind of carry the title somewhere else and let her have a decent reign again. Because you rebuilt her character, don't knock her back down, because it's going to be hard to build her up again.
Well, and then maybe you can tweak Becky's character where she is still kind of the man, but she's also how she was when she was a fan favorite. She wasn't as over the top, as forced, because the more forced she got, the less interested I got personally. It just, you could tell it wasn't who she is. She was, trying to be like snobby, like she was, it just didn't work. The more they tried to
feel like her.
Yeah. And it didn't work. But if you have that, I'm a badass, but I'm also like a good guy kind of thing, like she did before, where she was like kind of like Austin, where she was towing that line for a while when she was red hot before she got pregnant and stuff. Even that was starting to peter out towards the end, because again, they were forcing it. But like the organicness of when it first happened, if you can get her back to that level, and now she has something to essentially chase, whether it be Charlotte's title or whether it be Bianca's title. Either way, I don't see this brand split really meaning anything. So it wouldn't surprise me if people pop up wherever the fuck they want, because it doesn't seem to matter.
The wild card rule is not in effect. It's in effect. It's not in effect. It's in effect. It's not in effect.
Big E was drafted to Raw, and then all of a sudden he's just on SmackDown. Having Ridge Holland drop him on his fucking head.
And then Roman's on Raw saying, "See you on SmackDown."
Well, and to be fair, he has both belts, so at least now he has a reason to be on both shows. So, but anyhow, moving on to the most anticipated match, I think, of the whole WrestleMania weekend. If you didn't watch WrestleMania, spoiler alert: Cody Rhodes faced the Fiend in this match. In this match, and then the winner faced Seth Rollins. It was pretty cool. No, I'm just kidding. It was just Cody Rhodes showing up. It was pretty.
The worst kept secret, yeah.
Yeah, even he said that afterwards, because he was interviewed by somebody and they were like, "Oh, how hard was it to keep it a secret?" He's like, "It wasn't hard at all. It was the worst kept secret in professional wrestling," which was true. I mean, they had already, and I only said the Fiend thing because Mongo was hoping that was his prediction, so he was hoping, so Vince McMahon decided the Fiend versus Cody, winner gets Seth. I'm just, like I said, I'm just kidding. It was the return of Cody Rhodes after 6 years. I will say they did it right. It was a cool moment, even though we knew who it was, or we pretty much knew who it was. They had the full blown, essentially like it was AEW, Cody coming over to face Seth Rollins.
Scott Hall, the WCW defection. That's the angle they're definitely playing here. Is we're not saying he's defecting, but we're saying he's defecting angle, which I get it. That's kind of what you have to do to keep him relevant. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I agree with you. I think it's that, that's kind of why I wore this version of the NWO shirt. Like that, it kind of feels like they're trying to recreate the NWO crossover outsiders, like that magic, but it's like, it's not like it was back then. So sorry, Paul, if you're just like, oh, you're just using his American Nightmare gimmick, which apparently he negotiated some crazy contract where not only he got to retain all that, but Vince wants him to use it. He gets to still do Roads to the Top and any other thing he wants to do. So I think everyone in WWE needs to take notice of Cody's contract, because if he can do it, then people like Roman, Seth, they're going to have more leverage. All these people. So watch what this ripple effect is, because maybe this can be the change of them getting better contracts. Maybe AEW helped open this door to get these better contracts, so some of these workers WWE can maybe work some indie dates or something. I hope this is a loosening.
Yeah, well, and they gave Cody a bus that was in the contract as well, so that's kind of cool. That
is he gonna get the WWE logo on this side? I'm wondering, maybe the scratch, that would look cool. The scratch logo and the red, white, blue. Remember the old 4th of July logo? Yeah, that's what he should do on the other side. Yeah,
either that or he'll get a picture of Vince's ass with him kissing it, whatever. But yeah, no, we all pretty much anticipated this was going to be. It was a fantastic match. The two have very good chemistry for never really facing each other before. So I will say this match had better chemistry than Becky and Bianca did. And it was comical because Cody hadn't been around in 6 years, and they might have crossed paths a little bit before he left, but if they did, it wasn't on this level, put it that way. And it lived up to the hype. It was a solid match. If that had been the end of WrestleMania, people would have been happy. And I'm not saying they weren't happy with it. I'm just saying that, the fans would have been happy that that's how it was, because they did it right. And like you said, they, it's the American Nightmare. It's like, oh my God, this is the first AEW guy to come to WWE, which it was. So, and according to multiple reports, don't be surprised if there's more coming by the end of the year. I haven't heard names per se, but it sounds like there's other people within AEW that are not happy with how they're being used and not happy with Tony Khan's booking and stuff. And there's multiple reports out there from multiple people that are pretty tied in saying that, there's some contracts coming up within the next 6 to 8 months. And don't be surprised if you see a few more people that from AEW that show up in WWE.
I mean, it's bound to happen. It's year 3. Most of these contracts were 3 years, 2 years. He's already started locking down the ones he knows, like Kenny extension and Young Bucks extension. MJF signed through 2 more years, but he's going to work that contract out. He's going to be smart who he works on retaining. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see, a Kip Sabian make the jump to NXT. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of those, lower mid-tier. But one good thing about AEW before people, jump down our throats is even if they're not being used on Dynamite, they are being used on Dark and Elevation and they're allowed to take bookings. So there's at least footage out there for them. So that's one thing and he honors their contract paid in the end. So if they're leaving, he'll let them out of the contract leaving. It's not because AEW is a bad place. It's not because WWE is a bad place. This is good for wrestling right now. You're going to see crossovers again. We've said this is like the Monday Night Wars a couple of years ago, and everyone laughed at Roll and I would say stuff like that. No, this feels like the 1996, 1997, 1998, and that's good. And there's going to be people who troll when people leave, but you know what? They're going to go get paid because Vince is going to pay them to lure them away, just like Tony Khan pays them to lure them away. That's what businesses do. It's what you see it in the NFL, you see it MLB. I mean, what's his name from the Yankees? Judge just turned down like a huge contract. He's going to test free agency. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's a good thing because if they think they can go elsewhere, like Cody, I eat crow, and I'll say it on the podcast. I said it on our page. I apologize for if I was too hard ribbing him. I got work to do a shoot. I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm happy for him. Go get that bag. Go get the money. I hope they just don't book you into oblivion. That's just my fears because I think that's where my trollingness came from. Was my fears. I don't want to see his career get killed in WWE because he is talented. His booking was just a little questionable. But with the right booking, the right work, like right now, this thing with Seth, if it's not over, it can work. But you got to build him. You can't just shove him in the main event. You got to build him that he's a serious competitor because there's a small audience out there who really hasn't seen Cody work outside WWE. They hasn't seen, AEW, hasn't seen Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor in New Orleans, which is the episode of the NXT we were talking about the night before. Cody versus Kenny, the first time in Ring of Honor, it was an amazing match. It's when I really understood this isn't Cody from WWE. This is Cody Rhodes. So you need to keep that same mystique or else people are just going to lose faith. And so if he falters, it's going to tell people in AEW, ooh, maybe getting the money is not such a good idea. Who wanted to fact? But if it does well, like you said, if people aren't happy, Cody can do it. Let me go take a shot. Good. Go bet on yourself. Like Johnny Gargano was talking about, he doesn't know where he wants to go. But there's so much out there right now with Ring of Honor coming back in WWE and AEW, the Impact. Let them go. Let them shine. Don't trash them when they leave. I trashed Cody again. I apologize. I shouldn't have. But we got to be happy when they go because, at least we still get to see them in some platform.
Speaking of Ring of Honor, you think that Tony Khan's ever going to let a Ring of Honor guy go over an AEW guy? Just asking for a friend.
I noticed that too, but it was still a solid show.
The only person that went over was Gresham. That's it. And that was one of the reasons why Sledge didn't go. He was invited, and he was like, I'm not going to go because I know how it's going to go. It's going to be all AEW guys winning, and that's exactly what happened. Like he predicted it on TikTok off of his Twitch channel, and he was 100% correct. Like he fucking nailed. He's like, I know how it's going to go. He goes, why would I go and watch all my friends lose? Like he's like, I know that what's going to happen, and I get. You're almost putting a bow on like that Ring of Honor. Like I get it. I get what they're trying to do, but like I feel like having this build up, and I know that there's an issue with the Briscoes coming to AEW because of some of the stuff they said in the past. So like I understand I understand why that's that way. But like I just don't get how you build up this match. And the Briscoes are this, and FTR is this, and then FTR wins the match, and now they're the ROH title, champions on AEW. Like, I get that he owns them both. I get why he can do that, but like, you're almost like literally saying, "Hey, remember how you guys had this promotion? I just finished killing it, and now we're going to start over." Is essentially, which is fine if that's the way he's going with it, but like that whole show is pretty much AEW guys just not squashing, but going over ROH guys.
Well, and that's because I think they're trying to show I know people are going to be hypercritical too. I'm not saying you are. And you have the right to your opinion. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not disagreeing. I did think it was a little concerning. Like even, my God, I already forget. Suzuki going over was an odd choice to me. Because he's not even an AEW guy, he's a New Japan guy. So But now seeing that New Japan and AEW join forces on their Japan streaming network, which is fucking massive, I can see it. So yeah, there's definitely nice shot. Questionable booking decisions. Roland just threw a soda can, his energy drink can, got it in the trash first try, and on mute, so you didn't have to hear it.
Nailed it.
But no, I agree. Yeah, it does definitely. It's hard because it is a slap in the face to hardcore Ring of Honor fans for their guys losing, and people like Sledge. I get that, but it's also it was kind of known going in, like. The executives at Warner Media didn't want the Briscoes because of their past tweets. You can look them up. Probably not the best things to be saying, even if you're trying to say it in gimmick. It's just things you shouldn't be saying. So I get that, and it just sounds like they're trying to make this like an extension. So they're trying to make it look like Ring of Honor is a good, like a solid brand. But Ring of Honor also killed itself. Like people have rose-colored glasses, so I can bring it to. Ring of Honor killed themselves when the Elite left because they didn't try to keep the Elite and keep them happy. And that's not through any fault of the Elite. It's because Sinclair is not a good promoter, didn't really pay people. I mean, they had agents back there that were causing chaos. So it was already kind of imploding from the beginning, plus having no TV deal. We couldn't even watch it straight up at 3 a.m. on like TNN. And
MBR Channel 9 would carry it up here in New Hampshire every now and again, but like you said, it'd be like 2 a.m.
And it wouldn't even be a full show because I used to DVR it to see it, and it would be like highlights from like 2015 to 2019, and so
and then a random live match in the middle that they just recorded like yesterday, and it's like, the fuck. So
that never really helped them. So unfortunately, they never really got off the ground. So then, you know, they spurned a lot of fans. You know, not to get too far into this, but when Mania 35 happened, they had a super card of honor because they would always do a super card of honor during WrestleMania weekend, like most companies do. So, like, New Orleans, the one I went to, they had the super card of honor. That's what it is. So they had this mega show. Well, they advertised Kenny and the Bucks coming to New York, and then Kenny and the Bucks left, and they were like, "Here's Matt Taven winning. Oh, Enzo's in the crowd. He's gonna run. Oh no, he's not running in. We forgot to tell them. Oh, they're getting beaten up." So fans were like, what the hell did we just pay all this money for to come see? We traveled here. We missed NXT for this, or we missed this for this. So that spurred fans, and then the TV deal. Then their pay-per-views, they're only averaging like 800,000 or 8,000, not 800,000, excuse me, like 8,000. So like they were hemorrhaging money. People weren't getting paid. People were leaving, blah, blah, blah. So it's hard because Tony bought it for the library, but he's also got to restart the brand. So you got to do it. So like you said, it makes sense, but I agree. It was a little like, but the matches were solid. So I give him credit that he let them at least shine to hopefully get them work, or maybe he kind of used it as an audition. But I'm just hoping that Tony's going to be smart with how he keeps running AEW. He needs to keep doing what worked. Like he was kind of hinting that he's got to get Rampage a little bit better. So I'm glad that he's willing to listen and try to grow. Because if he goes too stubborn, he's going to end up like Eric Bischoff. And yes, Eric, you had one magical idea that you used for NWO, but WWE failed because, like he said, Ted Turner was just a money bag. Dixie Carter's just a money bag. You still have to be able to listen to the fans. You still have to be able to input. So that's my little end of the rant. But I agree with you. I think kind of even like WrestleMania, sometimes questionable booking can kill stars to momentum or kill your whole show.
Yeah, exactly. Getting back on track, we may never finish this episode if we keep going the way we're going.
Right.
Charlotte Flair defeats Ronda Rousey. That match sucked ass. Going on to the 7th and final match, easily the best segment on the show. You get to see Kevin Owens put Stone Cold in a trap. He trapped him into accepting a no-holds-barred match, and I'll be damned if I thought it was just going to be like a, beat him up, kind of drink some beers, head home. Stone Cold wrestled a 13-minute match at 51, I think he is now.
And he took bumps on the outside.
Yeah, he wrestled a legitimate match against Kevin Owens, and it was very entertaining. Obviously, he's a little older, a little slower, so he didn't quite look the same. Like his mud hole stomps weren't the way they used to be. He was, you could tell that he's 50. You're like, oh, he's getting up there, but he still was able to do them. And it was a pleasant surprise at the end to legitimately have a referee Austin saying, get me a goddamn ref. And it's like, we're going to have a legitimate match here. What the hell? And
I popped so hard. I'm like, yes. Like, I know it was like fantasy booking because we're like, yeah, they're just going to come out. It's the Texas Legends beatdown. And I saw pictures online, got my hopes up because it looked like there was a white limo behind the stage. So it's like, oh, it's JBL's limo. Like, he's going to come out, blah, blah, blah. And then, like you said, he asked the ref, like, I don't care if this is just like a squash match. This is awesome. Like, it's going to be a technical match on his record. Like you said, I was sports entertained. Like, that's what WrestleMania was about. That was fun. I thought it was crazy. He took bumps on the outside that he let Kevin Owens get some work on him. And it made Kevin look strong because he hung in there with Stone Cold. And I love how happy Kevin looked. Like, he kept trying to hide his smiles at some points. Like, there was one point where like Stone Cold's got him outside and he says something to him. You see Kevin Owens crack a smile before he gets like just tossed into oblivion. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like, I love seeing that Kevin Owens had a great WrestleMania moment, and that shirt was sick too. I gotta get that KO Mania shirt. I love those shirts. They're freaking awesome.
Yeah. Austin probably was like, "You're gonna take this bump, kid," and he's like, "Okay." But so great way to cap off night one. Let's speed through night two here so we can get to the actual.
Night two sucks, so yeah, let's go for it.
Well, actually, to be fair, it started off pretty good. I was entertained by the RK Bro Street Profits Alpha Academy match. RK Bro retains the title. Kind of surprising a little bit. I'm just waiting for at what point will Randy and Riddle break up. They're still entertaining together, so hopefully they don't do it too soon. I know they were teasing it, a couple months ago, and they decided to kind of let it ride, which is good because on Raw, they are one of the more entertaining things. And like I said, I don't know what Chad Gable did to become like Kurt Angle 2.0, but that little bastard is so entertaining. He just reminds me of Kurt Angle when Kurt Angle was wearing like the little cowboy hat, like he just, that's what he, the shoosh and the thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Just simple, stupid things. And he's a great wrestler. Like, he's always been a great wrestler. So, he's definitely gotten over, which is good. But
no, I agree. That match was good. I loved Alpha Academy. I was even though I didn't predict them, I was pulling for them. Like, come on, get the belts. Like, they're so entertaining. Yeah, I agree.
And then the next match, you have Lashley defeating Omos, which is literally the only way that match could go. We kind of discussed that last week.
Trash.
Yeah. It made Lashley look strong, and then it also gave them a reason for MVP to turn on him the following night. So, unfortunately, it looks like this isn't over yet, which is, yay, we get to see Omos and Lashley again.
How is this experiment not done? He's an unstaged cinder block, but next.
He is Great Khali-esque. He's just too big and not coordinated enough. And some of that is because he is so big. I mean, it's not his fault.
Those CGI trees from Lord of the Rings that walked were more fluid than him in the match.
So then the next match, like we talked about a little bit before, Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville, very entertaining. I'm still bummed that Preston Lacey didn't show up and do something here, but pretty much everybody else did. Pontius, with his pants off, his party boy. Wee Man slamming Sami Zayn from about a foot and a half from the ring, above the ring.
It's still cool to see.
Oh, dude, it was impressive for a guy like, Wee Man to be able to do that to Sami Zayn. I know Sami Zayn's obviously not the heaviest guy in the world, but still, Wee Man is, if anybody doesn't know, he's a little person. So, like, it's impressive to see that. So like we said, I don't really know if you have anything to add. It was entertaining. It was funny. And it was a good let me up match. It was one of those things where they literally just put hot garbage on with Lashley and Omos, so they put it in a good spot where the fans at least got entertained,
Yeah, I was just happy to know Jim Cornette's head was exploding watching this match. So, no, it was funny. See, I like comedy wrestling, and it was very like Shakara-esque. If you've never seen it, it's comedy wrestling. When they brought the giant mousetrap, I about pissed myself. Like, it was entertaining. That's what wrestling should be. You got to have like the Mimosa Mayhem. You got to have silly gimmicks sometimes. Like, you can be fun like this without doing it every pay-per-view. Like, this was the perfect use for a celebrity like Johnny Knoxville, over the top, Carrot Top style props. It was funny, like you said, entertaining, and then Wee Man doing a Wee Slam. was great. So honestly, I give this match like a 7 for entertainment value. I'll probably watch it again. It was funny.
Yeah. Then you had the Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Sasha Banks and Naomi defeat Carmella, Queen Zelena, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Natalia and Shayna Basler by pinfall. This match wasn't terrible. It also wasn't great. It was just kind of there for me. I don't know how you feel about it, but it was just kind of there.
This is the one I got prediction on because I just went. I'm going with what Tim says because Tim just picked this out of the dark and I just copied Tim. So
yeah, I got this one wrong because I went with my heart. I figured it'd be good to see Rhea and Liv do something fucking not pointless, and they decided to go with Naomi and Sasha.
Yes, and they don't know where to go with Rhea because she's breaking up with her. But no, I'm just glad Sasha Banks finally broke her WrestleMania curse. She finally has a win at WrestleMania. Like, let's just hope she can break her other curse of being able to defend her title.
Right. Then the next match was probably the most anticipated match of night 2. You have Edge defeating AJ Styles, and Mongo called this. Mongo called the Damian Priest joining Edge to become one half of the new Brood, essentially.
I think Rhea's next.
But it was interesting. The match itself was great. Anytime you can have AJ in there with anybody really that can go, you're going to have a good match. And then Edge, everybody knows, for a guy that has taken as much time off as he has, he retired because of an injury. He hasn't missed a step. I will give him that. Like he looks like he's been just going since. And fantastic match. And like I said, it was probably the most anticipated match of night 2.
And absolutely. This makes Edge relevant so he can be the star maker because that's where he is in this career. He's kind of hinted that when he retired, he wanted to be able to build people up. Not that AJ needs building up, but this shows that, hey, I can still hang with, I was hanging with AJ. Like this makes him, still keeps him legitimate that when he has a feud with someone like, maybe like a Ricochet down the road, he can say, look, he can help bring Damian up. He's going to help elevate Rhea. I'm telling you, I feel it. Rhea's next. I think that's why they broke him up so quick. I think it's going to be Rhea, Damian, because they fit that vibe that Edge has right now. That that Brood meets like Aleister Black kind of like that rising. That was such a cool entrance. His new song fits. They need to keep like Tim said. They need to keep riding this momentum because I love this character. And like AJ Styles WrestleMania, I don't know where these trolls online say, "Oh, he's had another disappointing match," because I have not seen a bad AJ Styles WrestleMania match. If you don't like him, it's because you're expecting too much. This was perfect. He went at Edge's pace. They worked well together. Yeah. AJ's only mistake was he headbutted the entrance ramp apparently and cut himself. Rollins texts me in the group like, "How the hell is AJ bleeding already?"
Yeah, why is he bleeding?
And then we find out it's like pyro, but then Dave Alka-Seltzer gets that one wrong, obviously.
No, so Ryan Satin. I'll blast who it was. Ryan Satin reported.
Oh, that. Ryan Satin. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I guess plans didn't change. But yeah, fantastic match. My match of night 2. Honestly, the opening match and that were and obviously Johnny Knoxville was entertained. But yeah, that was the match of the night. That was easily like almost a 5-star match.
Then you follow that up with the Sheamus Ridge Holland with Butch, not Butch Reed, Butch, the former Pete Dunne. Yeah, anyways.
Pete career done.
Yeah. So against the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in 1:40. Okay. Real quick, since we are like way behind on time here, this is bullshit. This match got cut from Saturday, and they're like, well, hell, we'll just put it on Sunday. But we're going to give Vince McMahon and Pat McAfee double the time we're going to give Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and the New Day. Because, why the fuck not?
Lisa Gear was a great tribute to Big E. I love that. That was...
Yeah. It was weird to see Kofi without knee pads.
Yeah.
Like, to see his legs. It's like Triple H when he has no knee pads on. You're like, what the fuck? Look at his ugly ass knees. Wow. Like, Jesus.
So your knee is naked.
Yeah, look at those weird fucking nubby knees. Jesus. Anyways, I see why you wear pants. But this is a travesty. If I were them, they were pissed after night 1. I would have been pissed after night 2 too. I would have been like, you guys, if you were going to do that, I didn't even need to go out there. But anyways, moving on, the next match, also very anticipated. Pat McAfee defeats Austin Theory. This match was solid. Austin Theory let Pat McAfee do a lot of stuff. This match was was very entertaining, and it was cool to see Pat McAfee get his moment, which would then lead to that match of Mr. McMahon at 143 years old getting into the ring to
For
then
no reason.
Yeah, to then face Pat McAfee because Austin Theory's like, Dad, he beat me up and took my lunch money. So then, Vince McMahon's like, well, God damn it, I'm going to take that lunch money back because I'm a fucking money-hungry billionaire. So then he gets in the ring, and, it was ugly. Bowling shoe ugly, to quote Jim Ross. That then leads to Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out. And then speaking of bowling shoe ugly,
that fucking stunner Austin couldn't even keep a straight face trying to do.
Yeah. Well, like you said in our group chat, Vince just reset the bar for worst stunner received that was set by Vince previously. So if you haven't seen the stunner, for some reason, Vince, after he gets kicked, went down to a knee too early. He drops down to a knee before Austin can grab his head. Austin then grabs him by the hair, almost pulls him up. He loses his balance. He bounces off the ropes. Austin finally gets his head, goes to do the stunner, and Vince
blow.
Yeah, and Vince looks like fucking Boogs from the night before and just drops. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, what was that? It's like,
Can we also talk about that Vince almost blew the Austin coming out because
he
Austin
did.
Theory,
He did blow it. He blew it because Austin Theory's music plays and he's like,
yeah, he started he got all startled. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, something's gonna happen because it's played. And he's like, oh. I was like, what the? And then again. It should have just ended easily. It could have just ended with Austin Theory low blowing Pat McAfee and McMahon just slapping him, and then Stone Cold coming out and then doing the same thing. You didn't need the gaga of him having an official match. It looked like trash. Honestly, Vince, I'm so glad that this is probably gonna be your last Mania moment because you deserve that bullshit. You looked like shit. Even your writers are coming out saying you look like shit. It was funny. But we didn't need to see. It was just like, are you kidding? This is like Vince Russo level embarrassing.
In 2022, we had a longer match from Vince McMahon than we did the New Day at WrestleMania. That says everything you need to know. So then moving on to the main event for the evening for the unified WWE and Universal Championships. You have the tribal chief, the head of the table, the big dog, Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman defeating Brock Lesnar. Like you said earlier, this match kind of ended funny. Definitely rumors that Roman actually did have his shoulder pop out. I don't know how true that is, but there were rumors that he actually got hurt in the match, which is why it kind of went home as quick as it did. It ended weird. It was as physical as we thought it was going to be. A lot of suplexes, a lot of spears, a lot of Superman punches, lots of ooh-ahs, lots of Lesnar going, "Wah!" doing his fucking Gilbert impression. It was as expected, but the ending kind of left a little bit to be desired based on the fact that it seems like Roman was legitimately injured in the match. And I'm going to keep talking because Mongo's trying to pull something up, so I'm going to cover for him. Oh, he's on mute.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I'm trying to find the clip. I was trying to find the clip of boo this man. I know I pulled the Roland, but Roland hasn't done that in like 2 episodes. But
I've been using the hell out of it today.
That's because you're cautious about it today.
Oh, yeah,
but like you said, it was literally just every other. And I don't understand people. It was better. This was Mania 34. This is Mania 32. It's the same thing. It's spears, suplex, spears, Superman punch. Ooh, Lesnar face, go to the outside, apron, they don't plan their matches any differently. They keep doing the same thing. It's what I said was going to happen. We let the hype build this up. I was excited for it because they put a good video package together. Roman is just doing the same shit again. He's doing it against SmackDown. I don't understand how this is not stale. The reason why he's so over is because it's a participation. When he says "acknowledge me," the crowd, it's a participation thing. You can tell the crowd to say "happy," and eventually some crowds.
Corbin. I thought that's where we were going.
Not that. No, not so much that. But it's like when you're at a show, you pop for anything because you're there, you're having fun, you're entertained, so everything makes you excited. But the thing is, you're at home audience. We're sick of seeing the same shit. We knew this was going to happen. We knew Roman was going to go over. The match was fucking trash. It was utter trash.
It was a physical match. It was a physical match, and you knew what you were going to get. Like you said, you're going to get the barricade spot, you're going to get the spears, the kickouts, the suplexes, the F5s, the kickouts. Like you already knew what you were going to get. The only difference was Lesnar was the face this time.
Right, and it's just I should have known that they were in WBS, and if he really did get hurt, I know they finished it, but if that was the planned finish, no wonder the producer fucking quit. No wonder the producer who produced this match and the Charlotte Flair match was like, I'm out, see ya.
I've done enough.
I would too. That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's absolutely embarrassing.
And it's just more proof too, especially in the Charlotte Ronda case, that Ronda isn't. She can't carry a match no matter who you play. If you can't have a decent match with Charlotte Flair, and again, I don't like Charlotte Flair. However, I respect the fact that she's probably the best pure wrestler they have on the roster right now. And you have Ronda in there looking like she's fucking Helen Keller, just a fish out of water against somebody like Charlotte Flair. And it's like, what the hell? Like, how do you have that bad of a match? It was horrible. But anyways, let's move on to NXT. We have like you said, this WrestleMania was somewhere in the 6 range for me. It definitely had a couple of good spots. It seemed like there was at least 2 or 3 good things from each night, and that was about it. And then the rest of it was just trash. So take that for what it is.
I mean, speaking of not trash, at least we got NXT coming up.
Yeah.
We can get
The sad thing is we're gonna have to kind of speed through this too, unfortunately, because we're a little long-winded today. So. But hey, when Tim lets the inmates run the asylum, here we are. So yeah, any tweets about our long episode can go to T Kurt on air. It's his fault. Anyways,
if you want to tell Roland how good he looks in a belated happy birthday, it's at Roland Fearless.
Yeah, I already felt like dirt. Now I feel older than dirt. So anyhow, but yeah, so you had a dark match of Lacey Evans against Kairi Sane, 7 minutes or so. Probably a decent match. The next dark match, you had technically it was taped for NXT, a future episode of NXT, but these 2 matches, you had Heavy Machinery. Remember them? Otis and Tucky against Riddick Moss and Tino Sabatelli in a no contest. Who cares? I guess.
Sabatelli is you know who that is now, right? He's an AEW as Cesar Bononi.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then Riddick Moss, obviously Madcap Moss now, but and then Tucker, who knows where he is right now, and we know where Otis is right now.
I think Tucker's working some construction yard right now.
Otis is out looking for Tucky. Anyway, so. The first match, perfect way to start the show. I think you had to have this go first, especially where Adam Cole was pulling double duty. You have Adam Cole, EC3, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan, Ricochet, and the Velveteen Dream in a ladder match for the inaugural NXT North American Championship. I don't know how you feel about this match, but I think this match was a friggin' banger. I think that just about every match on this card was a banger, to be honest.
Absolutely. This is why NXT, this is the peak of the mountain. I remember being in New Orleans. I watched this match the next day because we had gone to Supercard of Honor, like I mentioned earlier. Really wanted to go to this one too, but it was just hard, financially. So I was actually at WrestleCon. I was waiting in a long ass line, and I watched this on my phone. So like I cheated myself the first experience I've seen, but seeing it again, like holy crap, it still held up. You have Ricochet debuting. You have EC3 making his technically NXT pay-per-view debut. And then you have the inaugural title. And again, like you said, Adam Cole pulling double duty. Everyone pulled a great spot. Obviously, there's people in this match that were fired for reasons. You can look them up if you want. But it's just crazy to see that only one person in this entire match, Ricochet, is still with the company. I'm like, wow, there was a lot of people in that match and no one's there. Oh, and Roland redeemed himself with mute.
Yeah, I had to do it once to make you feel better.
Appreciate it. You always get my back.
Yeah, I try. So let's appreciate the fact that this is 2018. So this was 4 years ago, okay? We're going to do a little count as we go through how many AEW wrestlers are on this card and how many WWE wrestlers are on this card. So right now, through the first match, it's 1-1, right? Technically?
Yeah. Because, we got EC3 is like controlling his narrative at some Waffle House. You got Velveteen Dream trying to control his public reputation and Killian Bean controlling that employment line, and then who else we get in here?
Lars Sullivan's probably looking for someone.
Lars Sullivan is probably like in some like hate infested like control your narrative room, spewing hatred, and anti-Semitic and slurs. And
Lars is looking for someone to fillet him. Anyhow, yeah, I'm sure if nobody's heard the rumors there and quote unquote seen his past too, he seems
don't Google his
yeah
name.
no I was gonna say don't because
he's also just got a lot of very angry things he said. You don't want to see it.
No, it's bad.
Disgusting human. That's what we'll leave it at
that. Yeah, and there's a reason, like you said, there's reasons why he doesn't work there anymore. And anyways, all right, so we're gonna move on to the next match here. We have the Shayna Basler, Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship, and at this point, we now have WWE winning with two people, counting Shayna Basler. Ember Moon doesn't work at either place right now. There's rumors she might end up coming in to AEW eventually, but see what happens. Yeah. So even this match, like I usually kind of crap on the women's matches. This match was pretty good too. Like I said, there wasn't really anything terrible on this show.
And both women can go. And can I just talk about how badass it was to see Lizzie Hale and Hailstorm? Like I love Hailstorm. Like I love that band. How cool it was to do Ember's entrance. Like that showed you that this meant something to them, and Ember put on a hell of a match. So Shayna, this shows that what Shayna can do when she's not like when they know what to do with it. Like this is when she was starting to dominate NXT. This is when they really realized had something before she went to the main roster and just fizzled out. This match was great. I love Ember's Eclipse. I love the top rope stunner. It's always so beautifully done. And I just like that Shayna's like that brutal. Like she can beat you up and hang with anyone in the ring. This was a solid match. If you ever want to see how good these two women are, this is a good match to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to and this was weird placement. I would have thought they would have had this go on one more match later than they did.
Yeah,
I would have thought they would have had it go on before the Gargano Ciampa match, but I get they wanted the title match to technically go on last. I know Gargano and Ciampa was unsanctioned, so it technically didn't happen. But anyways, you have the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish injured, so Adam Cole has to full double duty to team with Kyle O'Reilly. They defeat the Authors of Pain, who knows where the hell they are right now, and Pete Dunne, Butch. So now we have three WWE guys and 2 AEW guys. Counting Kyle O'Reilly. And Roderick Strong was the partner of Pete Dunne. I forgot about adding Roderick Strong. As actually, Roderick Strong was kind of the focal point in this match at the end of the match.
Yeah, no, it was a solid match. Again, it shows why people are mad that Pete Dunne has a name change, because you literally had him on NXT. So it's not just NXT UK where people might not know him, but again, this shows how good they all were. Authors of Pain can work. I think this showed their limitations a little bit. Like, they weren't really technical. They're just more big bruiser bodies. So I think they're on indies right now, but they're a decent team. But Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong were a hell of a team together. Like looking back. And I remember watching this live, you kind of felt he was going to turn because they were teasing him going to Undisputed Era for a while. But when it happened, it was still kind of shocking because you didn't think it would happen the way it did, with him breaking up the pin and sealing the deal, and then them all uniting on the stage. Roderick Strong forgot the hand signal, so he's like watching Adam Cole to do the hand signal, but
he's like doing shadow puppets. He's like, he's like, I don't know what to do here.
But yeah, this was the rise of the UE, and this was the rise of Adam Cole. So this is really the beginning of like when people realize, shit, Adam Cole's legit.
Yeah, and like I said, right now 3 WWE people, 2 AEW people, which is important because when we go to the next match, we're
gonna go to 4.
Yeah, AEW takes the lead here because you have Aleister Black, now known as Malachi Black, facing Andrade Cien Almas, now known as Andrade El Idolo, with Zelena Vega, still known as Zelena Vega.
It's still known as Aleister Black's wife.
Yeah, so that must have been cool too, to be honest. This is for the NXT Championship. It had to be cool to be Zelena Vega working with Andrade, who she worked closely with, and then her husband too. It had to be a cool moment on a pay-per-view type setting. This match was fantastic. It shows what would soon become what we know now in AEW of what type of matches these two people can have. And it also shows how WWE missed the ball on two of probably their best performers in NXT history. You know, I think that when you think of NXT, obviously you think of Gargano, you think of Ciampa, you think of, you know, the Undisputed Era. You don't really think of, you know, Aleister Black, and you don't, you know, but people like Ricochet, people like Aleister Black, people like Andrade, they had some damn good talent, and it just shows you how WWE was like, yeah, like we don't know what to do. Like you said about Shayna Baszler, same kind of thing. It's like how do you drop the ball? Like how do you drop the ball so many times? It's pathetic.
And I get wrestling's storytelling and characters, but like this match was perfect because it wasn't Aleister Black being too over the top.
No.
It was just the cocky Andrade and Aleister Black trying to get his title back, and the matches these two had were always phenomenal. That's why I always joke about running it back in AEW, because I can't wait till they really go at it again, because these two have such great chemistry. I mean, there was points where, you know, their spots being called, but they both look at each other and they just, without even knowing, they just fluidly go into the next spot. Like when he does his DDT, Black countered it like that. He like rolled it. It was just the way he did it was phenomenal. Then I always mark out when Aleister Black does his little sit down to the crisscross applesauce real quick.
Yeah.
Like it was great. And then, the ending was they getting in, interfering. It ended well. And it was awesome to see, Black with the title. And, then knowing what's coming up next, like, because I remember this card very well. Like, this was my match of the night until the next match.
Well, and I'm not exactly sure when Vega and Tommy got married, but they were married in 2018. I just don't know the timeline. So if they weren't married yet, they were obviously together. And like I said, it had to be a cool moment to be the husband working against the wife with, so like it just, yeah, the whole dichotomy of the match was just fantastic because Andrade and Vega had great chemistry from the get-go. I think based on the fact they both have a Mexican lineage, so they were believable together. Like you sometimes they put a woman with somebody and you're like, wait, why is Sapphire with Dusty Rhodes? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But like, but when those two got put together, you didn't even question it. You were like, oh, Jesus, like they belong together as a pair on TV. So, and it was fluid, from day one.
And, I'm glad that they're probably letting Zelena wrestle, but I wish they kind of would let her wrestle singles because she is talented. Yes, I know her height's probably what's holding her back, but she's phenomenal. And her outfits, like her cosplay is always on point.
Yep.
So like, she's got charisma and they just need to let her be more herself. Like, most people say like this, this next match with Johnny Gargano and Ciampa, the reason why their gimmicks work is because it's themselves turned up to 11. That's usually the best gimmicks is when it's an extension of someone's self because it's more believable.
Well, and that's what Vince McMahon misses the ball on. Instead of just letting these people be themselves, Vince is like, no, we have to make them have a gimmick. It's like, no, just let them be themselves and crank it up to 11, like you said. Like
because especially nowadays, when you have that blood feud, like Gargano and Ciampa had that blood feud after DIY broke up, and I wanted to kind of get a little bit of work in before this. So I had listened to his recent interview with Chris Van Vliet. He talked about this feud, and he just talked about how much him and Tommaso put in the work, and they just respect each other in the ring. And this match showed it.
Well, and it was 320 days in the making too, because you had Ciampa get injured in the middle there. So, and they still found a way to keep the damn thing going.
Yeah,
like that's the best part is that like the feud started, then Ciampa got hurt, and it's like, oh no, it's like how are we gonna? And they kept it going. He interfered, he cost them some matches. So like the storytelling here is great. This is when Triple H was on point with what he wanted to do, the direction he wanted to go. He was letting the inmates that he trusted kind of have input into what they did, and it showed because, like you said, the chemistry, the storytelling was fantastic, and this match did not disappoint. This match, just to talk about some times, the only other match that was close to this on time was the ladder match for the North American Championship. This match was 37 minutes, and it did not feel like 37 minutes.
I honestly, it was over, and I was like, man, that was a short. Nope. Nope, it was not short.
There are times when you watch a match and you're like, holy shit, can we just end it? Like, this match didn't feel like it was 37 minutes. It felt like it was like 20. And that's how you know it's a good match too, because if you're sitting there edge of your seat and you don't really notice the time, then you're invested emotionally into what you're seeing on the TV. And this match did not disappoint at all. This match was fantastic. A lot of different spots, involving, the knee brace for Ciampa at times, and that would actually come into play as to how the match ended, ironically enough. So
when he grabbed the crutch from the dude in the crowd, like, he knows the plan, but yeah, like, there were some fun spots too.
Well, and the funny thing was, like, he grabs the crutches and the security guard helps him like hobble away, and it's like, we'll just get you new ones, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
No, it was great because, like, Gargano finally, he triumphs, and it meant something because this really helped elevate Johnny Wrestling. Because, when they were DIY, it was, you just knew if they ever went separate ways, it was going to be Ciampa that was going to be the star. Like, he felt like he had the look he had, and I think that's what Johnny Gargano thrived on, was that he was always the underdog. He was kind of like, sorry for people who aren't Pats fans, he was kind of like the Julian Edelman, where he's like, well, fuck you then, I'll prove you wrong, and he did. And he became Johnny Wrestling, became Johnny Takeover. And I know there's a lot of famous TikTokers, exception, who don't like Johnny Gargano and think he's overrated. I don't think he really watched his career the way others have, in my opinion. I think Johnny Gargano was vastly underrated, and he had to basically prove himself. And I think when he did, did he get overexposed a little bit? Yes, heel run kind of sucked, but it's because he's a natural babyface.
Yeah.
So this kind of match right here was great. The chemistry was great. I haven't seen a bad match between these two, and I don't think you ever will. And I hope one day we get to see another one final match between these two. Even if it's back in WWE NXT, even if it's on the Indies somewhere, if it's AEW Impact, those two can go. And this was my match. Honestly, this is probably, I think, my match of the year for NXT, because I remember 2018 pretty well, because that's when I was heavily invested. And this was probably one of my favorite matches. And I am really bummed I didn't go, because I have buyer's remorse, because I was literally 5 blocks away from the arena. This was up at my hotel. So,
well, and you also have to think too, what would Tommaso Ciampa's career be if he could have stayed healthy? Like, that poor guy had some really untimely injuries between his knee, between his neck, shortly after that. And he's come back from all of them, and he's come back better than ever every time. And, some of that is what makes Ciampa who he is, because he does have this story of triumph, coming back from whatever. There's also rumors that he may be done with NXT. I don't know how true that is, but there's also rumors that he may have let his contract run out and he might be done. So, don't be surprised if one of these Ring of Honor type shows or one of the AEW shows, if somebody like Ciampa, how cool would it be if Ciampa and Gargano show up as a team in AEW? Like, that would be sick.
I think so. Or even in Ring of Honor. Like, I love them both. I think they're both phenomenal workers, and I'm happy for Gargano getting to spend time at home with his baby right now. So, like, I think he picked the perfect time. He's like, you know what? My contract's going to expire. He doesn't need to rush anywhere.
No.
He seems, if you guys haven't listened to it, he just did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and it's a phenomenal interview. You kind of learn a lot of his motivations post-wrestling and, like, what he wants to do, where he sees himself. And there's also a really awesome documentary on YouTube before he came to NXT that I watched. It talks about him and Candice. And one of my favorite stories from one of the interviews is he talks about how when he first started dating Candice, they were at Subway on their first date, and Trent Barretta was drunk off his mind, just stumbled in to get food, didn't realize what was going on, sat down, stayed his sub. He's like, he won't remember, but we do.
But yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that to kind of put a bow on it, I would say that all the NXT shows we watch never disappoint. I would say this was somewhere in like the 8 range. Like, this was a really good show. 8.5. I wouldn't quite go to 9. They had some room to improve a few things. But it was easily one of the better shows I've seen since we've been doing the podcast.
No, I agree. I'd go up to 8.5 as well, because I mean, there was definitely, like you said, matches that could have been a little bit more polished, but it was there wasn't a bad match. It wasn't like, oh, that match sucked. This match was great. This is one. It was 3 hours plus. It did not feel like 3 hours. This is what I miss about WrestleMania weekend. The shows. This is when NXT. This is when you were like, I can't wait. It's WrestleMania weekend. We got SmackDown Friday, NXT Saturday night, and then you maybe had the Hall of Fame the same time, or you had the Hall of Fame Thursday night. You did it at a different time, but you would have Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Mania weekend. Then you had the Raw Monday after, which by the way sucked this year again. Usually, once they started like using that as their tagline, it hasn't been the same as when it was more organic. But to go back to Stand NXT, yeah, definitely 8.5. Watch this one. If you've never seen this Takeover, they finally arranged Peacock in a more user-friendly way, thank God. Like, I've noticed you can click on the brands now, and it's like every Takeover ever. It's right up there. Just click on it. I'm pretty sure the description's wrong on one of them, but it's the one that's Takeover New Orleans. Highly recommend you watch it. Highly recommend you pretty much just watch all the Takeovers with us because, like you said, I haven't been disappointed yet.
No, they've all been fantastic. So going forward next week, we have Spring Stampede 94 from WCW. Ric Flair and Steamboat on top in this card. Listen to some of the names on the show. Again, these WCW shows haven't really disappointed much either. I mean, there's always a little bit of poo-poo in there, but you have names like Diamond Dallas Page, Lord Steven Regal, Cactus Jack, the Nasty Boys, Steve Austin, the Great Muta, Sting, Rick Rude, Vader, Steamboat, obviously, and Flair, Dustin Rhodes. There's some fantastic names on this card. So I have a feeling that this will not disappoint as well.
I can't wait. I mean, when you talk wrestling history like Ric Flair, you usually talk about the Steamboat trilogy. Mm-hmm. So anytime you get to go back and watch one of those matches, because I didn't see them all until recently, so it's cool to go back. I don't think I've seen this one, so I think this is the last one of the trilogy I need. But it's just cool because Ricky Steamboat is a Hall of Famer for a reason. Ric Flair, regardless of his personal life and issues going on, is one of the best of all time. So I'm looking forward to this. Plus, going back to like 1994 when it was pure wrestling, less gimmicky, is when I enjoyed WCW. So I'm looking forward to it. Tim, it's not WCW 2000. Please just come back. The listeners want you back. We need you back because you know what? I can't produce a show every week because who knows? It might get released on Tuesday with my luck.
This Tuesday in North Carolina instead of this Tuesday in Texas. But
right?
Yeah, no, I think that you hit the nail on the head. You know, we need to do our best from here on out to try to have all three of us. And I get there's going to be times where one of us can't make it because of whatever. And Tim, to be honest, is going through some stuff. I'm not going to put him out there on the air just because it's not the right thing to do. But he is going through some things personally, and who doesn't, from time to time. So we don't mind covering for him, but like you said, we definitely have a better show when it's the three of us. You missed one recently. I missed one recently. Tim's been missing every other week. Thankfully, it's not the weeks that we missed. Thankfully, he was there for those because it would have been just like you or I talking, which would have sucked even more. The state, people would have turned the show on and been like, "Fuck this." So, we definitely need Tim back, and we need to try to do our best to be. And I'm not trying to make Tim feel bad. I'm just saying that as a collective group, we just need to do our best to try to put the effort in to make sure that there's the three of us when we can. And again, there's always going to be things that come up. And I'm not saying that Tim doesn't put the effort in. And again, not trying to single him out, make him feel bad. I'm just saying we have numbers that prove when it's the three of us, we kick ass. And when it's two of us, no matter what combo, it's just, yeah. So
we love you, Tim. We need to shoot the shit with us. You need to keep us on the rails.
Well, and what would a podcast be without Tim, trying to throw Mongo under the bus at some point during the show, So, the thing is too, is that we have such good chemistry, the three of us, that like we have a lot more laughs when it's the three of us. Like we just, it flows a little bit better. And not that, Mongo, I've known you since T-ball, since I was like 5. So it's not like we don't have chemistry as friends and whatever. It's just for whatever reason, the three of us works. And it's a fantastic, problem to have, it's like, oh, what do? We have three of us now. Well, shit, we'll just roll with it. And that's what we do. I mean, to be fair, Mongo originally, like I said, we said this before, he was supposed to be like maybe like a once a month kind of guy. Come on, give us some insight of like something that he had go on, Jericho Cruise or like a show he went to or whatever. And then, I woke up one morning, couldn't walk and had to go to the hospital, and Mongo jumped in. And ever since then, because Tim even asked me, it was funny. He was like, so what do we like now that you're back? Like, what do we do with Mongo? I'm like, we just fucking keep him. I'm like, why would we not? I mean, like, he just saved us for like 3 weeks. I'm like, what do you mean? What do we do with Mongo? Like, he's part of the show now, like, period.
Absolutely.
And
family now.
And ever since then, like, it's like you said, the chemistry has been good. And again, not trying to make Tim feel bad at all. I'm just saying there's been shows that I've missed where I probably could have done the show, like that one that I missed there somewhat recently. I just had a bad migraine. I probably could have powered through, but I just wouldn't have been me. And then, Mongo, the one he missed, he was, moving cross country. So like, it's understandable. It happens. And like I said, Tim, unfortunately, right now is going through some things in his personal life where maybe the podcast shouldn't be a priority. And like I said earlier about him working more than 5 days, like that's just me crapping on him, trying to be funny. Personal life's way more important than this podcast. However, being selfish, Mongo and I would love you to come back soon. Yes. So,
hey, make sure you're following our journey with us too. Just make sure you follow us at WWPAP Podcast on all social medias. If you like the show or you hate the show, like and rate us on Spotify and Apple. We appreciate the feedback. We've got a few more views, so keep it up. We appreciate it. We couldn't be a show without the three of us. We couldn't be a show without you guys. So I'm looking forward to next week. And thank you guys. Thanks for suffering through the two of us for a little over an hour. Sorry, Linda.
Hey, to be fair, we kind of reeled it in because we were like 40 minutes deep talking about Wrestlemania. So,
right.
Which is kind of a travesty to NXT New Orleans that we didn't have a little more time to kind of, but I still feel like we put a good bow on it. So that being said, yeah, sorry, Mom, a little bit longer than we probably wanted, but still not quite approaching the hour and a half, thankfully. So we'll sign off now. Again, hopefully Tim can join us next week and we can get back to being the 3-man booth that we usually are. Thank you again for tuning in for another episode. And again, that's one thing, we do our best to get you an episode. We haven't, missed a week. We just, if something happens, we put an episode out there, and if it's not as good, we're sorry, but we also are dedicated enough to at least getting you guys an episode. So that being said, I think it's time to say goodbye. So until next week, I am Roland Fulis.
And I am Mongo.
And this has been Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present.
Yeah, the man still ate his dog.
He did.
I hope you're all having a nice day.